the Duncan side.
In this scene, something I hadn't felt since peak Game of Thrones came rushing back. The pure hype that comes from rooting for an honorable cause in a corrupt world that often punishes the righteous. Peak Game of Thrones understood really well that honor is most compelling when it's rare and dangerous. In Westeros, doing what was right was often punished, while evil was frequently rewarded. While the political intrigue, layered storytelling, and sharp dialogue of the middle seasons of Game of Thrones remain unparalleled, what truly got me invested was how the show made honor and justice feel defiant in such a depraved and cynical world. Thrones was full of scheming, morally compromised characters vying for power by nearly any means necessary. But when I look back at the characters and scenes that most enraptured me, Tyrion's trial, early Ned Stark, Jon Snow's arc, they all share one thread in common. They were characters standing up for justice in a world that often favored the unjust. Unfortunately, the blunder that was Season 8 of Thrones took what had become a cultural movement and flipped it on its head, abandoning many of the elements that made the show great. The backlash was massive, and for many fans, it damaged the rewatch value of the earlier seasons when viewed in light of the broader narrative. I personally hadn't gone back to Thrones since watching Season 8, and since then I've really been missing a compelling story where a morally grounded protagonist stands against a society that's pushing against what's right. When House of the Dragon began airing, I was pleasantly surprised at how the show recaptured some of the original political intrigue and world-building of Thrones. It was nuanced and morally complex. But for me, it never fully captured the hype that came from rooting for an honorable character in a fallen world. It gave me sides to evaluate, but not someone to believe in. With so much moral grayness and ambiguity, I wasn't as emotionally invested in the outcome. Season 2 of House of the Dragon, in my opinion, leaned even further into that grayness and drifted further from what made peak Thrones so entrancing. But then came this scene, where Baelor rides in to take Sir Duncan's side. In Episode 4 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, this one line awakened such a dormant sense of hype that I hadn't felt since Tyrion's trial in Season 4, or rooting for the Starks after their fall in Season 1 and Ned Stark's death. What made moments like these so powerful was the chance to root for an honorable cause in a world that so often rewards cruelty. Baelor joining Dunk perfectly captured this sentiment. He chooses honor over allegiance, justice over blood, even when it means standing against his own family. I was so captivated by the scene that I want to think a little bit more about why it was so powerful and impactful. To better understand the significance of the scene, we have to think about the Westeros these characters are living in. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms establishes pretty early on is the same kind of Westeros we know from Thrones, a world full of power scheming, violence, and suffering. We follow Dunk, a lowly and humble hedge knight, who's physically imposing and at times a bit simple, but clearly earnest and compassionate. He takes on a young farm boy named Egg as his squire and consistently shows decency to all those he encounters in a world that really rewards it. But as Thrones often taught us, being a decent man in Westeros can get you into trouble. After standing up for a puppeteer attacked by Prince Aerion Targaryen, Dunk is charged with assaulting a member of the royal family. Even though he's morally justified, striking a prince is considered treason. We've seen this before, with Ned Stark's execution, Tyrion's trial, where power can bend the law regardless of moral truth. Blood often outweighs justice, and when Dunk is charged, we can feel the injustice of it. Royal authority once again threatens to crush someone who acted honorably. Enter Prince Baelor. From limited screen time, he's portrayed as thoughtful and conscientious. He takes the time to speak to people directly. He remembers Sir Arlen of Pennytree, Dunk's former master, when others have all forgotten him. He treats commoners like Dunk with respect, and represents the idea that nobility is about character more than bloodline, a clear contrast to figures like Aerion. So when Dunk is accused and must fight in a trial of 7, Baelor does not blindly defend his kinsman. In a realm where royal blood so rarely aligns with virtue, Baelor actually chooses fairness over family loyalty and principle over kinship. That's why his declaration to take Sir Duncan's side feels so powerful. Choosing what's right and basing nobility on character instead of just blood is a statement that goes against the typical ruling of Westeros. But in typical Thrones fashion, choosing what's right often goes punished. Baelor's decision ultimately costs him his life during the trial of 7. It's clear honor is dangerous again. It carries weight, it's rare, and it demands sacrifice. And for me, that's part of what made peak Thrones unforgettable. And I firmly believe that this scene will leave a similar legacy.